You know that thing that happens sometimes when you're asleep and dreaming and something, a sound, a cry in the night or something, wakes you up. And you're not sure if you dreamt it or whether it was real and somehow it filtered into your dream. You know that thing? Well, that's how it started. She thought she might get up early, practice the accordion, feed the stick insects. But the accordion would wake up the house, and the stick insects were probably still full from supper. So she curled up under the covers, tried not to think about anything. That was difficult. Something sat in the middle of her mind and demanded to be thought about. Where had that noise come from? That little cry in the night. Had it been her mother having a nightmare? She wondered why her mother occasionally had bad dreams. Had it been her father, still awake, somewhere in the house, working on his boat? Maybe he'd cut his thumb again, like he did last week. Maybe it had been her cat, locked in his endless territorial battle of wills with next door's hamster. She thought about all of these things, and they worried her. And once she started worrying about things, well, there was no stopping her. She worried about her nose, how round it was, and how she really wanted an elegant long nose like her mother. But she had her father's nose. She really wanted to give it back. She worried about her shoes. The soles kept falling off, and the heels kept breaking, and she kept losing the left ones. She worried about her friend at school, whose parents had split up, and who wasn't coping with it very well, and cried sometimes, and was angry sometimes, and clung onto her arm sometimes, as if she expected to fall. And she worried about her life, where it would take her, what she would do, and see, and feel, where she would live, and whether she would be happy. She rested briefly and played a game of tree rings. The age of the tree had a lot to do with the outcome of the game. She won, but she worried that she had not played fairly. She worried about the air around her that she had heard was becoming thinner. And she worried about the ice that she heard was also getting thinner. And she worried about the polar bears drowning, and the penguins and the tigers and the caribou and the plovers and the anchovies, and the sun and the moon. And she'd heard that half the universe had vanished when it began. She wondered where all that antimatter went. She worried about where all this life had come from, and where it was going. And she thought about how she couldn't think about infinity, how her mind was an egg cup, and infinity was an elephant, and there was just no way that elephant was going to fit into her egg cup. And she worried about all the other things that were probably out there in the world, that were just too big to fit into her head. And then she noticed that no matter how many worries she had, There were always more and more and more, tumbling out of her head like elephants. And she thought that maybe her little mind was not so little after all. But that didn't stop her worrying about the chaos of stars wheeling across the sky, and the galaxies spiraling, and the black matter mattering. And she realized there was nothing bigger than that to worry about. And everyone she knew, her mother and father, and her cat and stick insects, were all the same, little blinks of light, dust motes in the air. And she felt better, having put all her worries into perspective. Her anxieties didn't seem to be so important after all. So she put them all back, right at the back of her mind, one by one. The universe, the stars, the matter and the antimatter, the sun and the moon and the earth, the air and the sea, the ice and the trees, and her future and her past, her friends and her shoes and her nose. And the little cry in the night that had started it all. She opened her eyes. It was getting light outside. She probably wouldn't get any more sleep after all. So she got up. She practiced her accordion quietly. And fed her stick insects carefully. And tried to keep her worries in a safe place. Just in case, sometime, she needed to think about them.